Welcome to the Bright Insight podcast. This is a weekly show provided by Brightside Security Lab. We're talking about updates on security regulations, requirements, and perspectives on the current cybersecurity developments. Security is becoming more widely used and important at home, work, school, or in your personal life. Think about GDPR and the Cybersecurity Act. Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. The more systems we secure, the more secure we all are. Thank you for listening to Bright Insight.
Thank you all for being here today. Today we have a special guest. We have Ilia.
Thank you for inviting me. My name is Ilia Stolov. I'm a center head of secure solutions in Winbond Electronics. Today, Winbond is the number one NOR flash vendor in the world, and we are pioneers in secure flash devices, certified with various levels of security, up to common criteria level 5, MVQ, FIPS, CESIP, and other standards. And just to clarify that by saying secure flash, I mean a flash device providing root of trust, secure storage, and firmware resiliency functionality. Winbond is also active contributor in global platform security groups as well as Eurosmart security communities.
Thanks, Ilia. And again, thank you for being here with us today. Let's start with that, Ilia, because I know you have been working in applications for high-end security, but one of the things we talk regularly is about the emerging markets, the IoT. And I know in some regards, when we talk about security, there are a lot of similarities, but there are also some differences, right? So what is your experience when you talk, for example, with system integrators in the IoT domain on the emerging market, in those markets that are not well experienced in security?
Yeah, right. You actually touched a very interesting point about IoT, because majority of system integrators and developers in IoT market, they are not security experts. And they don't have security expertise. They don't understand really the value of security certifications. And mainly they care about the cost of the security and the cost of the deployment. And this is one of the main characteristics of IoT market as we see today. And once we understood it, we started to think how we can optimize the security for IoT market. And because today, as you know, there are secure element devices which are traditional security solutions. They are highly security certified, and everybody trusts these devices. However, one of the major disadvantage of secure element is their cost, as well as cost of software development. So, and I think that's the biggest challenge, as I mentioned, for IoT, and that's what we'd like to address in Winbond.
You mentioned a couple of things there. When we talk about cost, obviously, when we talk about cost, we need to be fair, right? So there is this total cost of ownership. You have your initial investment, and then you have all your additional costs. And certainly, one of the things I notice a lot when I talk to system integrators, to developers, is there is an intrinsic cost on their resources, because they say, look, my resources are very busy. I have limited resources. I don't want distractions. So, and when I say they're very busy, it's because, of course, they focus on different aspects, and security is just one of those aspects in top of everything else you have to do, right? So when we talk about cost, even the time they spend understanding security or developing security or integrating security is an intrinsic cost that has a big impact for them. Do you have similar experience?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's related to the supply chain of IoT, because in IoT you have component vendors like Winbond, you have system integrators, and then you have OEMs and cloud vendors. And the security is very important for cloud vendors and very important for OEMs, because it brings them new value, new business models. But when you come to system integrators, they only care about the cost of their design, the cost of their solution, the cost of their resources. because from their point of view, security is just another checkpoint item. Does not create a real value for them. Okay, and that's the reason why security, which we provide for IoT, needs to be not just optimized for real customers like cloud vendors and OEMs, but also for system integrators.
Now, you touch on two things here. One of them is that for the system integrator, security should be easy to deploy, needs to be optimized for cost, but I think equally important is it needs to be easy to understand, right? So how to implement, how to certify, even how to pass it down on the value chain to the next layer.
Absolutely. So from system integrators' point of view, it should be some kind of black box. So they just put it on the platform, they put it on the board, and it should work, and it should meet all the requirements of their customers. And from their point of view, they don't have security expertise, so they don't have resources to invest in learning the security, in implementing the security. They expect easy deployment, easy activations, and easy life cycle. So they don't want to invest into very complicated security life cycles and in very, very costly certifications and that's it.
Now, as we get closer to the end device and all the way to the services, that conversation is still relevant, right? So again, the closer we get to those layers, the less security awareness, although is still relevant, important for them. But then the drivers are different, right? So then we are going to be talking about different kind of drivers for them to look into security. And then we talk about what drives, you mentioned already business cases. I think it's a very important driver for service providers and device vendors. But what other drivers do you see there for them to look into security? Or actually put it the other way around, what drives the demand from a system integrator to implement security? Because, of course, they will do this if there is a return on investment. And the return on investment will be there when there is a demand from the market.
Absolutely. Yeah, as we see, there are several ways how the demand is driven. So the first one, as I mentioned, it comes from cloud vendors, it comes from service vendors, which need security for their business models. So they have very clear understanding how security affects their business models. And in such case, they dictate to security integrators to put security on their platform. So this is the first one. The second one comes from governments, from government regulations. And at such cases, government comes and say that if you would like to sell platforms to this specific market and applications, then you have to implement security to some certain level. And you also have to provide a certification because the certification is the only way to trust your implementations. You have to prove that the security implementations which you put meets our requirements. And the last demand, I think we don't see it yet, but it could come later, that platform vendors, starting system integrators, they start to understand that they also have to protect their customers. They have to protect their users by bringing them security value. And when we will come to this stage, then we definitely will see a strong demand from system integrators to implement security. And once they will be there, they also will put resources to learn security, to study security, and to deploy it.
I use this example of the risk owner. So to start with, the IoT market is very much into transactional business. So that means the service providers generate the revenue out of services. And in many cases, some cases, this drive also to cut the cost on the device, because then again, the profit is not coming from the device, but from the service. So at the same time, in a service-driven economy, the reliability of the service or the quality of the service drives the acceptance of that service. And I think that reflects on what you say right now. If the service can be compromised or the reliability can be affected due to security concerns, that immediately has an effect on the bottom line for the service provider.
Yes, and that's actually the main reason why service providers would like to secure the edge devices, and it would like to secure the data stream comes to their services, and would like to secure their customers, because once their services become untrustable, then they will lose their revenue stream, and they will lose their customers, they will lose their business, and more important, they also will lose their brand. So the demand from service vendors right now is the strongest one in IoT market. But looking forward, I also wish that we will see the similar demand come from consumers, comes from end users.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And in order to make it, governments not just need to put regulations, they also need to teach people about the importance of security for their life, about the importance of security for our environment and for their privacy. And once end users and customers will see a very clear logo or some kind of security level on the devices which they buy, saying that this device is less secure or more secure, and once end users they take care about their privacy and the security of their houses, in such case it also will create additional demand for ecosystem to implement the security.
But such a label needs to be extremely simple to read and digest. I always use the example of my mother. My mother is already very famous on this kind of conversations, because I say that the day my mother can read a label like this, we know we have succeeded. But I think we already have some examples, right? The other day we were talking about some other industries that have been successful bringing secure technologies into the market that we use every day. So we're talking about the automotive, for example, right? In the automotive, there's scoring systems. And today we drive, and many times we don't even know how the engine works. And we don't know, and many times also we don't care. It drives, it's safe. That's what matters to us.
Absolutely. And then when we buy cars, we are looking to the labels of the safety. Okay, we would like to buy the most safety car for our family, and we are ready to invest into it, right? So we all know all this labeling about the safety, starting from red up to green, and we don't care how it's implemented. You are absolutely right.
Well, so somebody will object. Somebody will say that no, safety and security are different. What do you think about that?
Oh, actually, safety and security is exactly the same. And safety in automotive in cars is very easy understandable. So in case if car will prevent you from the accident, then you will be quite happy. And in case if car will inform you upfront about another car crossing on the red light and will stop automatically your car, you also will be happy. But let's think about security in other sense. Okay, so you're driving the car, very advanced car with very advanced safety functions, and this car is connected to internet. In the future, all cars are supposed to be connected. And then some hacker will hack your car and will hack all these safety functions. So the car becomes unsafe. And in that sense, security is equal to safety. And the same we can say about our home appliance equipment. So I guess most of us have different automatic devices in our houses to clean it, but we don't care that all these devices, they also implement IP cameras, which are used by these robots to learn the layout of our house and how to drive it and how to clean it. But then these IP cameras also could become security risk for us, because if hacker is capable to hack our consumer devices and will know exactly when we are in house and when we are not, they will capable to break our houses and to steal whatever we have. So from that point of view, security also becomes equal to the safety.
Yeah, and it's true. You can have security without safety, but not the other way around. You cannot have safety without security, and without having the crystal ball. This is something we will see more and more, because nowadays you cannot buy a television that is not smart. All the televisions are smart, and no surprise, everything is going that direction. You have the lights, you have the toaster, you have the fridge. We are much more interconnected with the technology, and having a good understanding of not just the safety but also the security is going to be part of our daily life.
Yes, absolutely. In my home, I have a dishwasher connected to the internet. To be honest with you, I don't know why it's connected to the internet and why it should be connected to the internet, but I'm quite worried about it, okay?
Yeah, correct. So it's a fact of life. We are connected, and we are going to be even more connected in the future.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Ilia. It has been great having you here. Thank you for all the insights.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Bright Insight. In the next episodes, we will cover different topics, such as the EU Cybersecurity Act, the business case of security evaluations, common criteria, SASIP, IoT, and software-based security. Stay tuned and subscribe on brightside.com.